We've identified Bob. Mike and I had some really good calls with him. I think he'll be a good presenter. The summits are in Albany, February 28th, and in Rochester, March 1st. I will send you all out a save the date flyer, so you have it. But Bob will be our main presenter, and so I'm going to let you take this over.
Okay, well, thank you, and thanks everybody for sharing this time. Long distance, this is exciting. And the purpose of this webinar and sharing this time with you is just to give you an idea of what I do and what the experience is going to be like. And we haven't customized yet. When I customize, let me run you through a little bit about how that goes. When I customize, I want to see the groups of people that are in the audience. And if appropriate, I'm going to find out what their goals are. I'm going to find out how are they to be evaluated, what do they track, so what their metrics are. Then I'm going to find out what their KPIs, their key performance indicators are, what their daily activities are. And then I'm going to discover what their obstacles are, their challenges that they face on a daily basis. Now, if I have a group that has the same type of person in the audience, then I can customize and then I can include those in the solutions that I present. If I have a group that has a variety of different segments of populations, administrators, sales, marketing, then it depends on if we wanted to focus on one of those groups, then I customize, or then I would keep it general and just talk about behavior that affects all people. And the exciting thing about this presentation is that it has applications that are relevant to the audience in their health, in their business, and in their personal life as they have their own particular needs. So there's something there for everyone. And what I thought I'd do is just give you a idea of the track that I take, the type of program that it is. So if you can take some notes, if you would go ahead and do this, just draw 7 circles across the top of your page. About the size of a quarter would be just fine. We're going to start from the right and go to the left. And I always say to, now I don't do this in the presentation. Sometimes I will if I have depends on how much time I have, but most of the time I don't cover this. So this is just our background information. I say to people, I know why you're in the business that you're in, and that's because you love people and being of service, right? And then I put a $ in that far right circle. And I will joke and say that money isn't the most important thing in the world, but it's right up there in importance with air and breathing. Now, this is a sequence of events that's appropriate for any kind of sales. This is also customizable, but I'm not customizing it. I'm just giving it to you generally as applied towards sales. In order to make money, you need to have sales. So in the second to the right circle, just write the word sales. In order to have sales, you need to have product or service. In order to sell the product or service, you need to do presentations. In order to do presentations, you need to set appointments. In order to set appointments, you need to make calls. So there's 1 circle left. In order to make calls, you need to have an attitude that supports you in taking that sequence of events. And if you could just draw an arrow separating that first circle from the rest, attitude. Now, to the right of that circle, to the right of that arrow, organizations do an excellent job in the United States, and the United States leads the world in training. So to the right of this, companies do a great job on here's what you do, here's how you do it, but then they leave them with now go do it. That now go do it is not being trained. That now go do it aspect is what happens in that first circle of attitude. When I say attitude, what I don't mean is motivational hype. Motivational hype, you can do it, I love you, go out there, just work, you can do it, great marketplace. What I look at that's entertainment. Now, there's nothing wrong with entertainment, but it doesn't last very long. It doesn't change any habits. It doesn't change any behavior. It's good to be exposed to, but it just doesn't have a long-lasting impact. And so when I talk about attitude, now we're narrowing the field in terms of what I mean by that first circle. What I'm talking about here is your ability to influence what you pay attention to. And if you think about this for your own set of circumstances, for your own most prevailing challenge, for an area of your life that you want improvement in, it's likely that you already know what you need to do, that if you did it, you would have that improvement. It's also very likely that not only do you know what to do, but also that you're capable of doing it. And it's very likely and very common that you would agree that you're not doing all that you could be doing to be as successful as you could possibly be in your health, your business, and your personal life. And it's not good or bad that that would be the present circumstance. Why does that happen? Why is there a gap between what people are capable of doing versus what they are actually getting accomplished? And it's because they haven't had exposure and training in that first circle. So when I say attitude is the key, what I'm talking about is mindset. Your ability to influence what you pay attention to is the absolute key. So mindset is what's important, and your ability to understand how to shift your attention, how to create habits, what's called emotional regulation. This is what happens in this first circle. It's about identifying how to shift your physiology. It's identifying how to change how you feel and change what you do. Most people get led by how they feel. If I say that I'm committed to health, let's say, and that I'm committed to getting up at 3:50 in the morning and exercise. I say I'm going to do that. I intend to do it. I set the alarm for 3:50. When the alarm rings, do I get up and go exercise? Well, that depends on what I'm paying attention to. If I'm being led by how I feel, most likely I'm not going to feel like getting up and exercising. I'm going to be tired, and then what I'll do is I will go back to bed, but I'll justify and I'll rationalize, and I'll just believe that the truth is I just need to sleep. I need more rest. And so that's being led by how I feel. The key here is to be led by my identity, to be led by what my values are, to be led by what I stand for. And to be led by that identity means that I will take the action and how I feel will change. So again, it's your ability to influence what you pay attention to. You're either paying attention to how hungry you are or how good it feels to be thin. You're paying attention to how busy you are, or you're seeing an opportunity to take an action that you might ordinarily not see. So a lot of times people say, can you motivate somebody? And I'm going to tell them that, well, the premise is in error because there is no such thing as an unmotivated person. So let me give you an analogy about this. Is this person unmotivated? So imagine the toughest day you've ever had in the office. You've got lots of disappointments, big deals that you were expecting, bids that you had proposals on, just you get price cut by a competitor. I mean, whatever the disappointment might be, you come home, you are absolutely exhausted. Your spouse asks you to help your son with his homework. You say, I'm just too tired. I just can't do it. If you're a golfer, your buddy calls you up, says, let's go shoot some golf. You say, I'm just too exhausted. So the question is this person unmotivated? And the answer is no. This person is very highly motivated to conserve energy. Now, I'm not being facetious when I say that. There is no such thing as an unmotivated person. Now, if you think about what are they paying attention to? What are they in reference to? They're paying attention to how exhausted that they are. They're paying attention how difficult their day was. Well, watch what happens when they shift what they're paying attention to. All of a sudden, they smell smoke, they see flames, they grab their favorite kid, and they run out of a burning house, and they have gone from absolutely lethargic to hyper energized, and they managed to change their suit in the process as well. Now, the question is, how did they do this? They shifted what they paid attention to. They shifted how they observed something. And this is something that people can do, and they're not being taught how to do it. They're not being taught how to have emotional regulation. And so as a result of this, when things are going well, people are doing well. When things are going bad, people are doing poorly. And so it's absolutely, this is really in lifetime value of information in terms of teaching a person how to be on purpose with their mindset, be on purpose with how to create habits. And I go through some really simple science about how the brain works and about how you can change any kind of a habit that you want to change so that you get yourself consistently to do the most productive activities regardless of what's happening in your circumstance. And again, when I combine this, if I do customize based on your audience, it becomes something that's very powerful. But probably what's most exciting to me is that it's people have told me before that not only do you tell us that you need to change or we need to change, but you also give us a tool to be able to do that, a system. And it's really exciting because people go from being stuck to being unstuck. Now I've got, I think it's 90 minutes or maybe it's 2 hours that I have with your group. And in that period of time, if it's 2 hours, I'll start off with an audience exercise that is change disrupting, where you are shifting your approach to something to solve a problem with 6 pens. The challenge is to form 4 equal-sized triangles with 6 pens. Each triangle is the same length of the pen. And if I don't have, I don't remember if I have 2 hours. If I don't have 2 hours, then I won't do that. But that's a great way to say that your approach is what needs to change. If there's a problem in our life, it's because the way that we're approaching it is creating this problem. And so it's a mindset. It's a disruptive thinking type of a mindset that I'm going to be sharing with the group. And then the rest is really showing how the human mind works, why we procrastinate, what's going on when we do that, and then giving one dynamic, one behavioral dynamic. And I'm going to challenge the group right away with what's called a pattern interrupt. I'm going to say, what do you think the chances are of what you're about to experience that will go beyond entertainment into impact? Everybody says, oh, it's high. And then I interrupt and I say, no, it's actually low. But it is possible. And so in order to increase the possibility that what this experience is going to be can have an impact, I simplify. There's only one takeaway. And that one takeaway is a behavioral dynamic that the group did not have when they walked in the door that they will have when I'm finished. It's that behavioral dynamic that has the chance to be very significant. And it is very entertaining because the way that adult learning is, the way the brain works, you're going to fatigue the human mind if it's just logic and facts. You've got to intersperse, make waves. You have to have a high energy, lots of humor, and high content. And so about every 90 seconds, the audience is laughing. I use a magic trick. It's very entertaining program as well as high content. So that's what we're going to be doing. And also now I know you're waiting on another speaker to confirm. If that speaker doesn't confirm, then I'm happy to do another program, and we're thinking about that program being my wellness program, which would be Keynote I on my website, bobdavies.com. What I've just shared with you is the work of Keynote I and also Keynote II. So that's what I wanted to share. And Paula, any questions or anything else that you want to know?
Yeah, can you give us a little, the group, a little bit of background on your experiences as a speaker and how you've presented to a lot of construction organizations? Sure,
I'd be happy to. This all started, I was a college football coach. I never thought I was going to be a speaker or a trainer. I was a coach. But I was a different kind of a coach. I was a research-oriented coach. I wanted to know the science of human behavior. And all my background, I played football at Rutgers University back east and I got my bachelor's in health. Then I taught and coached for a couple years in New Jersey in a high school. And then from there, I went to Springfield College in Massachusetts. Now, Springfield is a research-oriented institution, very well known for human behavior, human performance. Got my master's in psychology there. While at Springfield, I coached football and wrestling. And I had an experience that it turned out to be a lifetime of learning. I had the opportunity to coach an Olympic gold medal winner in Greco-Roman wrestling by the name of Jeff Blatnick. Jeff Blatnick from Schenectady, New York, not too far away, I don't think, from where you are. And it was that experience that really had me get the insight of what somebody is like who's the best in the world at what they do. And I say that I was Jeff's coach, but the reality was he beat the hell out of me every day for 2 years. So that was my coaching for Jeff Blatnick. When I graduated, I got a head coaching and head football, head wrestling position at Caltech in Pasadena. Now Caltech, what an opportunity this was. Caltech is like MIT on the West Coast. I had the opportunity to be around some of the world's greatest minds. I had the opportunity to research with a guy by the name of Roger Sperry. Roger Sperry won the Nobel Prize in 1982 for his right and left brain research. At Caltech, I developed a way of coaching athletes so that they would consistently be the best version of themselves, that they would be the best that they could be for one play at a time. And we did some things at Caltech that had never been done before. That year, I left and was really recruited to go and be an assistant coach at Cal State Fullerton. Cal State Fullerton was an interesting phenomenon. It was a new staff, and at Cal State Fullerton, this was the athletic level of our athletes. This was the ability level of all of our opponents. How are you going to win when everyone that you're playing is significantly better than you are? The only way you're going to win is to tap into your highest level of your God-given talent, catch your opponents even though they're better than you when they don't. Talk about lack of respect. We went to play University of Arizona, and the newspaper said, Wildcats hosting Cal State Disneyland, they called us. I mean, really, right? But anyway, and this is what happened. I had the help of some great coaches. You probably the most well-known coach is Steve Mariucci. You may know his name. Rich Ellerson is another one. Steve and I were roommates. So we got together and we took what I developed at Caltech, and we developed a way of coaching our athletes, and that's exactly what happened. Our athletes performed at the highest level of their talent, and we won 2 conference championships. Each year we were predicted to finish last in a conference. This spurred my being requested to speak for our boosters, who are business people, and that's when I decided to see what kind of an impact I can have on a larger scale. In 1983, I resigned coaching football to do this full time, and I've never looked back. That's before I knew what was happening with the salaries of coaches. Last time Steve Mariucci was a head football coach of San Francisco 49er, the Detroit Lions. Now he's an NFL broadcaster. When he was at Detroit, he made $5 million. So anyway, maybe it would have been a different story if that was the way that salaries were when I was coaching. And I've never looked back. And so I've spoken to multiple construction companies. When I speak to a construction company, that's where I have a great opportunity to customize to who's in the room. I've spoken to associations, Association of General Contractors, I've multiple state associations, and it's really the construction industry is a very high stress industry, very subject to the economy. Although I understand that we haven't customized yet, so I don't have the specifics of your group, but I understand that it's been several very good years that are happening. And so again, it always comes down to behavior, to that first circle that you're still seeing on the screen. It always comes down to mindset, to how, and also the other good thing about this is that a company can, what they learn in what I'm going to share with them, they can bring back to their offices and they can teach to their companies, and they can be running this company-wide long after I'm gone, because it's a way of making commitments, and it's a way of creating a culture of accountability inside of an organization. And one of the healthiest cultures that any organization could have is a culture of accountability, where that you can trust people that they will do what they say they're going to do. So that's the insight on this. Is that helpful? What else can I share with you?
If you could, for the group, so that, because ideally what we'd like to have happen is that they're going to go and tell, their clients, prospects, people they do business with, like, an elevator speech on how they can explain this.
So it's a how you can, and that's a good question. How can you explain this? You can explain this as what's not being taught about behavior. It's the code of getting yourself to perform at an optimal level. And when you learn, it's an easy to apply behavioral dynamic that when you learn this, the result will be that you will get yourself to do something that you would not have ordinarily have done. You would be thinking that you're just too busy or just not capable, all of the reasons, the stories, the excuses that we have. But what happens is that we buy into them as being true, and we buy into our limitations. So this is a behavioral dynamic, a system that they're going to learn, that the application of this will mean that they will be able to get themselves to do things that they wanted to do, but they haven't been doing. They will be able to create habits that they want to have. That's what this program is going to be about. It's based on 30 plus years of, it's a combination of scientific research and best practices of elite performers. So very high content, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have fun doing this. High energy, fast-paced delivery. So they're going to learn about themselves. They're going to learn how their mind works. They're going to learn why people procrastinate, and then what to do about that. How to get themselves to take the action. Did you know that when somebody procrastinates, the same area of the brain gets activated that gets activated when they're in physical pain? And so our brain, our body is set up to avoid all these uncomfortable activities. One of the things that happens for people is that they learn how to expand their comfort zones. And so I had a comfort zone, for example, physically. I thought that the best I could ever be was 200 pounds. I believed that it was physically impossible for me to weigh less than 200 pounds. And that's before I learned how to change my mindset. My last weigh-in was 179, and my norm was 240 or 220, but never. I couldn't hold 200 pounds. I had to change my mindset. I had to learn how to change what I paid attention to, and I had to learn how to change habits. So the freedom of application is you might have 100 people in a room. There might be 100 different applications of this. So again, to simplify, they're going to learn how to get themselves to do what they want to do and they haven't done in the past. It's going to be something that's going to be easy to apply, and it has widespread application, and they can use this with others as well. Was that too complicated, or was that simple?
Good. And so, Bob, did I send you the past list of attendees?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think. No, I have not received that.
Because that'll help us, really customize. You'll get a good idea of the different construction folks at all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Some other folks who want to do business with construction folks. So I will send you those lists just so you can start getting an idea of how to bring this around for these groups.
And in the presentation, if what I'm going to discover on our customization call, we have that scheduled, don't we? Do we have that scheduled?
Nope, I can do that though, or want to send out something.
Yeah, we've got time. I like to schedule it as closer to the date. But what I'll do is I'll find out what the common challenges are. And again, the same thing I start with the goals and what they track, what their metrics are, what's in common. So when I have a group of different organizations that are in the same industry, I do something that makes sense to the entire group. So they can identify with what this is, what their targets are, what they intend to do. And then we're going to look at these challenges, and in the customization, we'll get these challenges that'll hit them right between the eyes. They're going to say, that's right, that's right, that's right. I can't do this because of this, and I've had this happen. So it's going to be very specific to what they go through on a daily basis. Then I'm going to apply this behavior dynamic to how they would use it to get themselves to do what they need to do and still handle all of these interruptions and these circumstances and these challenges that are going to present themselves. So it's a very positive presentation, a very healthy presentation, and I'm excited about it.
Okay. And what I'm going to do for the group, and if you could for me, I'm going to send them the link to the construction and building testimonials on your page of
Okay.
Places that you presented at before, so they can get an idea of what were the takeaways,
Right.
and why they felt it was an important session.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and I can talk offline, because I'd like to just reach out to one of these conferences or organizations that you presented to, just to see how they promoted it. So.
Okay. And okay. And what else was I going to share? I think that should be it. Okay. Anything else?
Does anybody have any questions? No, I think we're good. We appreciate your time.
Okay, and well, thank you so much, and looking forward to the customization when we do that, and appreciate your efforts in the room on talking this up. And by the way, on my website, which is my name, bobdavies.com, D-A-V as in Victor, I-E-S, there's a full-length video that you can watch that'll take you through something very similar to the presentation that I would do for you. And I don't mind if people watch that before I present, because it'll give them some familiarity, and they'll listen to what I'm doing differently if they've been exposed to that. So it's definitely not something I want to hide before a group has heard me. It's there, and it'll give you a good idea of what I do. So, and that will also help you to get a good feeling for the way that I present as well. So, okay, well, thanks everyone, and we'll look forward to the program, and I'm available for anything else that you need. So thanks for spending this